This is G. Montrastelli. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 393, originally aired February 6, 2014, re-recorded and re-edited for October 7th, 2019. Everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, where every week we answer the most common and uncommon questions about tapping and EFT, so you can get the most out of your tapping practice. Take the action you want by eliminating self-sabotage. Today's topic leans directly into that, and it is about the reason why you are not taking action. And in some cases, the reason why we are not taking enough action or taking the action we want is we are not in enough pain. Before we get to that, just a reminder, we have a free 10-part guide that you can use to help eliminate self-sabotage day by day. The 10 parts are spooled out one day at a time, so you are not overwhelmed with information, but instead, every single day, you get something that'll take you 2 or 3 minutes to be able to apply to your tapping so that you take more action day to day, being more successful. There's audios, there's videos, there's tapping scripts, there's instructions. All of it is absolutely free. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com, click on the big blue button. If you happen to be listening to this on the website, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner at the top of the sidebar, there's a blue button there. You can get the guide absolutely free. The idea of when and how we take action is something that has always fascinated me. And as I was going back through the archives of the bonus podcasts that needed to be cleaned up so that they were full grown-up podcasts like this one here, I came across this podcast, and it's something I talk about a lot with my clients, but because it was so long ago, I didn't even realize that I'd recorded a podcast on it. So this is one of my favorite topics, because not only is this going to give you some insight in how you can use tapping to eliminate that self-sabotage and take action, but it's going to give you some insight into why you're currently not taking action and why something will be at the front of your mind and like, oh, I need to do this thing because I need to change this thing. And then time passes and you don't do anything about it. So it gives you some really simple insight into why you're not taking action and some even simpler tapping instruction on how you can move forward. What I wanted to talk about was something that came in response to a note that I received when someone was unsubscribing from my newsletter. Now, when you unsubscribe from my newsletter, and I hope you don't, but when you do, you have the opportunity to just give me a comment, give me some feedback, just pass anything along. And I get a lot of really nice comments. People saying, keep up the good work, or I'm super busy, and I've used the stuff you've done in the past, and I'll come back in the future. And I appreciate all of that. But the comment that I got yesterday was really, really interesting. The comment read, I am very busy at the moment and don't have time to practice, so I feel stressed out. And so it's really interesting. Most of my work and the tapping I provide is around stress, overwhelm, being able to take action better and moving towards our goals. And this is someone who's saying, my life is so busy and so out of control, I don't have the time to tap and do the work to feel better. And I feel stressed because I don't have that time. So it's just easier for me to unsubscribe from the list so I don't have to think about this. Now, the last thing that I want to be is a burden in someone's life. And so I appreciate the fact that they're unsubscribing because it's causing them stress. But you can see in the statement that they're making there kind of the problem. That their life is out of control and they need to do something about it. And the way they're choosing to do something about it is to simply put their head down and not move forward and not take action, but just keep fighting along and managing things as they are. And that's a natural response. That's a good way to survive, to take the tactics that have worked in the past and keep fighting along. But I would be willing to guess, and I'm sure I'm reading a lot just into a simple one-line email. I'm very busy at the moment. I don't have time to practice, so I'm feeling stressed out. I have a feeling this is a person who's really overwhelmed. Because if you don't have time to take 5 minutes to read an article or to do one of the tap along audios, your life is overstuffed. And if your life is overstuffed, you're probably feeling the physical ramifications of that stress, which we know are many. And you're in a circumstance where you're probably not working towards your goals. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, typically that happens at a time when we're just trying to keep our head above water, not when we're striving to move forward. Because when we're overwhelmed, we're striving to move forward, we're at least making progress. And that doesn't feel as overwhelming. It can be overwhelming, but not as much so. And I think the problem that this person is experiencing is they are not in enough pain. And I mentioned that in the title of the podcast, and that might seem a little odd. I'm not a masochist. I'm not a pain for pain's sake, and I'm not a no pain, no gain type guy. That's not what I'm saying. There are 2 times which we are most likely to take action. And those 2 times are when we are in a great deal of pain and we're trying to get out of it, or we're really, really close to our goal. And because we're so close to our goal, we're motivated to surge forward. When my hand starts to hurt because I have put it on the stove, there's a great deal of motivation for me to move out of the way. I'm in a great deal of pain. That's motivation to put me forward. Or when we can almost taste it, we're willing to do all-nighters and call in favors and stretch ourselves extra thin at the last moment because we're so close to our goal. It's that place in the middle that I like to call the tolerable middle, that we're really unlikely to take action. Life is far from perfect, and there are even some things that are painful, but it's predictable and it's manageable. We have a boss that we don't necessarily enjoy, but we know it pushes his buttons and we know how to stay clear of him. We recognize that there is pain in our life, but it could be so much worse because there's people who have it so much worse off than us. And so when we're in that space, because it's predictable, because it's manageable, because it's not so uncomfortable we can't bear it, the thought of stepping out of that feels like more pain because it's unpredictable. We might lose. We might fall behind. Because stepping out of that feels like it is more painful than where we are, we're really unlikely to take action. And so that's what I mean by the reason why she is stuck where she is when she wrote that comment is because she's not in enough pain. She's in that tolerable middle. And so I think there is great value, not in inflicting pain, not in artificially ginning pain up so we have some sort of motivation, but in honestly looking at our life and recognizing the pain that is truly there that we have done a good job to ignore. And when we honestly look at that, we're willing to take action. Because I know in my own life, there have been times where I have been in pain, but I pretended it wasn't nearly as bad as it was, just because it made it easier for me day to day. Because if I knew how bad it really was, that would be a bummer. But as we just talked about, when we're able to clearly see that, we're going to be much more likely to actually take action and move forward. So I have a really simple process that's in 2 parts that's going to help you to not only alleviate pain in your life, but push you to a place where you're taking action to move towards a better life and move towards what you want. So it's going to happen in 2 parts, like I said. So part number 1, I need you to think of something you want to change in your life. And it could be your physical health. It could be the way that you look. It could be relationship status. It could be the job that you do. It could be anything. How messy your house is, how you get along with your children. Doesn't matter. I want you to name something that is important to you that you would like to have change. And what I'd want you to do when you're doing this, and I'm going to want you to hit pause so you can do this. And certainly if you're driving, I don't want you to work on this right now, but come back to it. Okay. Get out a piece of paper, write that goal on the top of the page. Better relationship, healthier body, whatever. It doesn't have to be super detailed. Just I need you focused in. So number 1, what I want you to do in this first part is I want you to write down what are the 5 worst things about not making the change and staying where you are right now. So, we have this goal that we want to move to. What are the 5 worst things about not having that and staying where you are right now? And if you want to hit pause, do that. I want you to make a list and then come back. The second thing I want you to do is now I want you to come up with the 5 biggest things it's costing you not to have this change. So the first part was about the pain that's being inflicted upon me by staying stuck. The second question is, what does it cost me by not changing? Let's say it's my physical health. What's it costing me by not changing? Well, it's probably costing me years off of my life. It's costing me time and energy with my loved ones because I'm tired all the time. It's costing me the opportunity to move ahead because by the end of the day, I'm so fatigued because I'm out of shape. I'm not doing my best work and I'm not able to demonstrate how good I am at this and I can't get ahead in my job. Whatever it is. What are the 5 things it's costing you by not changing? And as you think about this, I want you to think about what it's costing your loved ones as well. It's costing my kids having me at my best. It's costing my grandchildren the ability to know me once they get old enough because I might die sooner. Whatever it is. So number 1, worst things about being stuck. Number 2, what's it costing you not to change? The third thing I want you to come up with is I want you to come up with the 5 best things that will happen if you do change this. So we're ending on a positive note. Now, once you have this list, I have a feeling you feel worse. Because we've just, in stark relief, pointed out the things that suck, the thing that it's costing you, and the things that you don't have that you want to have. Now, our initial and immediate inclination would be, oh, this feels bad, I need to tap for it. And we do, but not tap in the way that you think. I don't want you to tap for the frustration, the overwhelm, the sadness, the disappointment, the anger. I don't want you to tap for any of those things. Because if you tap for just those things, what you're going to do is you're going to feel better because you're not going to be so angry, you're not going to be so frustrated, and you're going to gently slide right back into that tolerable middle. You're not going to take action. You're actually going to tap in a way that's making it less possible for you to move forward because you've taken this motivating factor, which is the overwhelm, the pain, the whatever it is for not having change, and you're numbing it and you're dumbing it down so it no longer pushes you. Now, I said we're going to tap, so I'm not saying we have to stay stuck in that change. This is where we move to step number 2. So in step number 2, what I want you to do is I want you to name one action that you can take right now to start moving towards that goal. Making a phone call, spending some time brainstorming, changing your breakfast, exercising regularly. I don't care what it is. One thing. I want you to come up with exactly one thing. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, as you think about this one thing that you want to change, what I want you to do now is I want you to write down every single worry, anxiety, and doubt you have about taking that action. I failed before, I'm going to fail again. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to look foolish doing it. Whatever it is, every negative emotion you have about taking that action, I want you to write those down. It might be 1, it might be 10. Now, this is when we tap. Because these are the things that when you get through them, you're going to recognize it's still the pain of the problem. You won't be stuck at it as much because you have a plan. And there's no longer a barrier for you to take action to move you towards that goal. And so what you're now going to do is after you tap on those fears, those anxieties, those whatever it is, what it does is it puts you in a position where you start taking action and you start moving forward. You clearly see how you want things to change because you recognize the pain and you've cleared the barrier to taking action. And that's how we tap to move forward. That's how we tap to action. We find the pain, we find the step we want to make, we clear the block to taking that step, and boom, you start moving forward. And that's really all there is to it. Now, if you do that, every single day, if you just took one action that you wanted to take today to move towards your goal, and you cleared all the emotional blocks for that, and you did that action today, and you went through the same process tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, what's going to happen is that particular action is no longer going to have an emotional charge around it, and you're just going to start taking it because it's going to move you towards your goal, and you'll be able to choose another action that you want to take and another action you want to take. And the next thing you know, the choices you're making consistently are going to be away from that pain and towards that goal. Pretty straightforward stuff, but I think once we have that insight, it makes a huge difference in recognizing why we are stuck and why we are not moving forward. I would really love to hear your feedback and your input on this particular piece of interaction. I would really love to hear your input on this particular insight. What does it look like in your life when you're getting stuck and you're in that tolerable middle and you're not taking action? You can always reach out to me, Gene, Gene, at tappingqa.com. If you happen to be on the website, you can just leave a comment down in the comment section so other folks can see and participate in the conversation as well. If you know someone in your life who would find this topic interesting, something that might make it easier for them to take action and to move forward with what they want to do, please be our ambassador. You know, we've been all year trying to get 9 new people as a community to tap every single day. And if we get 9 new tappers, people taking action, doing the things that they want to do, our world is going to be a better place. And so not only is their life better, but all of our lives as well. So pass it along. Don't spam your inbox. Don't send it to everybody in the world. But if you know a person or two who could use it, please pass this along. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the podcast. And remember, in podcasting parlance, subscribe does not mean it is a paid subscription. It's not Netflix. It's not Hulu. This is something that you can get for free anywhere you get audio in Apple Podcast. Anywhere you get audio in Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, TuneIn, Deezer, Radio Public. If they have audio, you're going to be able to find this absolutely free, including on your Alexa device. And if you want to learn how to stream the podcast on that particular home speaker, all you need to do is go to tappingqa.com/Alexa. And I have a little video that will show you how to give it some instructions so that while you're doing dishes or doing some housework or whatever, you can play it right there on your device. You can play it right there on your device. If you have a question, a comment, a topic you'd like us to cover, please let me know about it. Some of the best episodes ever have come from recommendations from listeners just like you. And I don't just say that, I truly mean it. I love getting input, and we have a couple coming up that I never would have thought of, which are just absolutely perfect. I can be reached, Gene, Gene, at tappingqa.com, or click on that contact link on the website. Or if you're one of the thousands of people who've downloaded the Tapping Q&A app, you can contact me from right inside the app. Just click on the contact link. You can send me an email or a voice message from right inside of the app. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, it's free. Go to your app store for your Android or your Apple device. In addition to having the entire archive of all of the podcasts there, we also have versions of the scripts that come up when we tap along in a podcast. So you get a free typed out version of that script right there on your smart device. So if you don't want to listen to the audio, you can just pull up the script and tap anytime, anywhere. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrestelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrestelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrestelli or Tapping Q&A.